so we'll start off with Melissa. Oh, do you want to go to the table over here?
She should be here any minute.
Okay. Well, we're trying to connect with technology because we are recording this for those students that couldn't make it. So we're going to share it to more of them.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Cusman from Parkway Municipal Water District. We are located in San Diego. San Diego County, of course. If you're not familiar with where Padre Dam is, we are right where Santee Lakes is. So if you've ever visited the lakes, we are part of Santee Lakes is part of Padre Dam as well. We service areas of all of Santee, parts of El Cajon, and then all the way out to Alpine. So water and wastewater services as far out as parts of Lakeside, and then water all the way out to Alpine. So I am in Human Resources. I've been with Padre Dam for almost 17 years. I'm not always in HR, so I got my start in water actually at Santee Lakes. So I worked at Park and stayed there for 10 years, then customer service, then took over to customer service at the district, and then now I'm in HR. So I love Padre Dam, amazing culture. I came from the private sector, from the mortgage business industry for years. I wanted to reinvent myself after the last crazy downfall of rates. So welcome everybody. I'm glad that we can be here for you today. Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Okiwali. So I'm a senior HR analyst for Helix Water District. Very similar to Melissa, I did not start in human resources initially. So I am an Army veteran. I went in as a mental health specialist. So when I got out, I was kind of looking for a full-time position and just happened to start at a water district up in Washington State. Kind of moved to another one. So was in the water district business up there for about 10 years and then moved here. Started in our administrative department, and then a little bit of time in our engineering department, and then finally got to where I wanted in human resources. As far as Helix ourselves, so our service area, we have our main office in La Mesa. We have an operations center over in El Cajon, and then our treatment plant, and of course, like Jennings is in Lakeside. So again, thank you so much. It's a great opportunity to be here. So I appreciate all of you.
So we're Ryan.
Guys, my name is Ryan Baranoff. I'm a resources analyst at Sweetwater Authority. Just like the two before me, I did not start in human resources. I was customer service field representative, so I'm going to lead the water meters, and then that's where I went into feed in human resources. I've been at Sweetwater for about 6 years now. So Sweetwater Authority services west part of Chula Vista, National City, and Benito.
Thank you so much. I'm Patty Duran with Human Resources at San Diego County Water Authority. So San Diego County Water Authority is the wholesaler. So we bring water to the county of San Diego, and then we distribute it to, our member agencies such as Helix, Padre Dam, City of San Diego. There's 22 agencies within the county that we distribute water to. So I'm just here to talk to you a little bit about what we do and hopefully provide some useful information. Thank you so much. And then
Hi everyone. Yes. Anthony, no knowledge him introduce himself after, but Chief Operating Officer and Director of Engineering at Capture H2O. We're a little different than the public sector. We're a water conservation firm specializing in cooling tower water treatment. So we have technologies and systems that help these production facilities, manufacturing plants, malls, office buildings, anything with a cooling tower operate more sustainability, use less water, use less chemical, be more efficient. So here, as we're looking to expand our service manager base in San Diego and Southern California, and have an alumni here next to me. So great place to be, and I'm looking forward to talking with you all.
I'm Jim. As Anthony just pointed out, I did attend here 2010 to 2012. Joe Young, Henry, I recognize this face. Yeah, I got my D2, T3 out of here, but I couldn't take into the business, so saw this advertisement for HVAC water treatment. No certification required, so I'm in. Well, I am 13 years later, company's on the rise. It's doing a great thing for see mankind, but literally for mankind, we're saving tons and tons and tons of water.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna go ahead and ask the questions that all of you submitted. We normally have like general questions for these type of panels, but all of you sent really good questions, so we might not get to these, even though there's some components of these that are in your questions. So what we can do is, you can ask the question, and maybe one or two can take it. That sounds okay? Okay. So the first one is, what is the hiring outlook for the rest of 2025? Good one.
I'll start. So I was just telling Melissa, we kind of had a little bit of a slow past few months where we only had kind of part-time positions. And if you've watched our website, you'll know that's a little unique for us, especially over the past few years. We've had just more and more full-time positions open up. And a lot of it really is due to retirements. We're kind of losing some of our people that have been here for, 20, 30 plus years. And so it's always that domino effect. So yeah, I would say right now we have a handful of full-time positions, and there's a couple more that I know of that are coming open. We don't advertise unless we have a vacancy, so sometimes we don't know exactly when it's going to come, but I will say it has kept us very busy. So yeah, I would say as far as job applicants, it looks really good for us.
Anyone else want to take that question?
And I can take it too. So, at Padre Dam, we are ramping up for our advanced water purification project that's underway right now under construction. So we are in the process of hiring. I just opened yesterday, advanced water purification operators position. We have a couple of utility workers who have moved up to that plant as well. So that I'm going to be opening up this week as well for a utility worker position. I'm also going to be opening up a utility worker internship for this summer. So if you're interested in getting some experience in the hands-on, that will be coming out Thursday. So definitely look for our website for that. I will also provide some sheets on the current openings we have now as well. So we've got an inspector position, construction inspector supervisor that's open, system operator. So lots happening in our little world, retirement plus expanding advanced water purification. So lots on the horizon.
We're so happy that you're here. Can I share just one more? Please do, yes. We just opened up a San Diego Regional Water Wastewater Completion opportunity last night. And I'll put out some flyers in a minute. Let's share with the panel. You can see those, but basically that's an opportunity to different agencies, and we meet for the sections of water operations, like wastewater treatment, water treatment, operation system. And the schedule for the position is along with the school year, starting in the fall and in May next year. So we're recruiting for that now. In the summertime, we'll be going through background checks and finalizing. And then we start working in August. It's $21 an hour. And then a part-time opportunity, like 20 to 27 hours a week or so. So it's, if you're looking to just get some work experience, and it's a really good opportunity for someone who wants to get into the field that doesn't have any background in like construction or operations or like that really good experience. It's a good way for you to get that experience when you're doing commercial. So that when you're done with the program, hopefully you have some marketable skills that you can then start applying for some of the permanent positions that come up. Level 1, 2, something you can build. So that's the intent of the program, and give you some background on the 2B1 technology courses. And we open it up every spring, and it's for the next, term. Okay. And we also have a growth control intern position, and that's for someone pursuing a bachelor's degree. Is interested in water technology, but wants to work in the field, but also have operating experience. So what that position does is they go out in the field and collect data on the pipelines And then they go back to the office and they compile all that data, spreadsheets and then databases, and they come up with some recommendations on, what are the areas that might need some maintenance in the future? And then we'll work with the team to make those recommendations. So, I'll put that by, corrosion control. So much.
Okay, we'll get to the next question. Okay, this one's a good one. Can you share tips for getting hired in the water industry with little to no experience?
Well, maybe I'll share some tips. One is to try to get yourself exposed to as many transferable skills as you can. So if you've never had any water industry experience, you could gain experience that's relatable. Like I noticed that, one of the agencies here is having a utility worker position come up. Background in construction, right? For example, a meter reader, anyone who's been has been driving in the community, that's a driving skill. Anyone who's had some good customer service face to face with the public, that's a skill. So just kind of think about, those skills that can transfer well to the field that you're in. And try to gain those skills, even if it's in another field, position that it's not the position you want right now, but it's the position that's giving you the skills so that you can qualify for that next position, right? So just really think about those transferable skills that are important for your next goal. At the end of the day, you have to start somewhere, right? So it is possible for you to gain those skills in other ways. So just kind of broaden that your options, right? Apply to all the water industry jobs you can, but at the same time, if you have an opportunity to gain some transferable skills, and get that opportunity in the meantime until you get that work. My suggestion. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to point out that Chapter H2O has a current position. It's the previous question, but we have a current position for water treatment program manager. And the post is still active. But in our industry, it's not one of the disciplines that's taught here at Cuyamaca or any, as far as I know, doesn't have a chemical water treatment program, but it's a program that's taught in the field under got the experience to teach you how to do it. What we like to see is someone that understands the industry, the verbiage, the words, not lost in along those lines. So you've got somewhat of a working knowledge of the terminology, and that's all I had going into the field. I wasn't a previous water treatment person. I was an AWWA guy, and I was not involved with it at all. And I was taught under the company owner.
To add to that, I think, echoing what was said over there, just having a hands, I imagine this applies to a lot of, everyone on this panel, but you kind of have to willing to roll up your sleeves, learn in the field is always a great thing to do. And, not being afraid to ask questions, right? It's, I think it's much better to, in learning if, you're open to acknowledging, hey, maybe I don't fully understand this, and really investing the time to educate yourself using, your resources at this school, online. Stepping outside your comfort zone is a great way to learn.
I think this is a really important question. Does anyone else?
I would say just besides the experience itself, it's really important to think about when you're applying for a job. That's really your first impression to the agency or to the employer that you're making. And so, I've seen it. I've even done it too. If you're applying to different jobs, it's hard for me to believe that exact same resume is going to apply, or that same exact application is going to apply for every single job. So just make sure you're going through and really gearing it towards the job that you're applying for. Look at those job descriptions, look at the minimum qualifications, the responsibilities. That way you can really gear, because you probably have experience doing some of those things, but unless you're kind of highlighting it in your past experience as things that you've done, you might not be able to tell that that's what you did from just looking at the application. So I would really say your best foot forward up front. Just take the time to really, I can't tell you how many times on an objective I've seen, oh, I would love a job at the county water authority. And I'm like, wait, but that's not us. So just taking the time, look at those details and really make sure you're aware of what you're applying for. And then if you have questions, I am always happy, like I know the rest of our HR department is happy to answer questions. Even if it's a job that you're not quite sure of, if you want to get a better understanding, give us a call. We'll do as best we can to get back to you and kind of answer those specific questions. But yeah, what I would say is just make sure you're putting your best foot forward up front.
Awesome. And then piggybacking off of that, should we be applying to jobs if we don't meet 100% of the requirements, such as not having 1 year of water industry experience or a bachelor's degree? And then kind of farther, what are the certifications and qualifications, technical skills that really make candidates pop for you all?
I would just say it depends, right? There are some job descriptions that say any combination of background experience would qualify you. So I feel that if you're kind of on that borderline where I maybe have just enough, but maybe combine with some of my education, I could qualify. It doesn't hurt to apply. The worst that could happen is you don't move forward. But if you have other skills that agency wants to look at that they feel are interesting, or you're able to demonstrate that you qualify, and maybe they don't have a large applicant pool, you might get an opportunity. So if you're like really far apart, you might be wasting your time, but if you're really close, or maybe a combination of some of your background experience could transfer along to education or certifications, I say just go ahead and try it. And I think the second part was for the certification.
Yes, certs or qualifications that you notice.
So definitely qualifications are depending on what you're trying to apply for, of course. In the water industry, we have an array of jobs from office jobs to more the operational jobs. And I think a lot of the courses that you might be taking are on the operational side. I'll just speak on that. It's definitely mechanical ability. Knowing, even for the entry level positions, if you can demonstrate you know how to use basic hand tools. If you've taken a job in a warehouse, you know how to use a fork, add that kind of stuff on there. Because anything that shows that I don't have to show you how to use a hammer, is helpful, right? So just anything that shows your ability to use basic tools and do some of the basics so that you can learn from there and go from there is helpful. Certifications, I know at our agency, we don't have a wastewater treatment plant, so I know there's certifications in wastewater, water treatment. The more general certification, I think across the board, if you're just kind of applying to everything and everything, is water distribution. And then if you are focusing on a specific area, then there's those state certifications for water treatment. And those operational rules, those state certifications are minimum requirements for some of those positions. So I would recommend that you pursue those so that at least you can qualify. Because if it is a minimum requirement for you to have that certification, you can't be hired without for some others. But other qualifications could be assessed depending on the overall resume application.
I would also add that no one's ever taken these environmental health and safety classes. Is that still offered here?
Yeah, it's a safety course, yeah.
Those were great. You can apply it to this industry. You get certified, I think, in the confined space and HAZBOP qualified. You get those certifications, add that to a resume. Somebody doesn't have one of those certifications. That's good.
So another thing, a lot of the job descriptions, at least the Sweetwater Authority, don't require the certification right off the bat on day one. We sometimes allow up to a year or sometimes 3 years depending on certifications. So if you don't meet 100% of the requirements, always just apply. You never know.
A lot of times too, in our class specs, if you read the qualifications on there, it's gonna tell you you need a D1 by the first year of your employment or 2 test cycles or whatever. So you'll have an opportunity to go, okay, I don't have it, but I'm in the process of getting there. And you definitely still apply as you're, and then put in your education that you're pursuing those things, or if you have a test date on such and such date. So that's always helpful.
And if you have a test date, add it to your application so that we know you're close to it.
I just figured I'd pull out our qualifications list right here and speak to that. But yeah, the 1 year water treatment experience, definitely not a disqualifier, right? We're looking for, you know, that's why we're here, right? People who are learning and interested in water. And, you know, beyond that, just, you know, it's a client facing position, right? You're out in the field visiting a Pepsi plant or a Hewlett Packard facility, being able to work well with people, go to your written, I'm sure in all these industries, right? Documentation is huge, right? So having good written skills, being able to communicate verbally and written, and obviously running all the wet tests that I know you all are working on now, pH, conductivity, everything in between. So just having good at mechanical aptitude, willing to learn, always great perks there.
One of the students asked, do you offer an OMT AWWA operator training program? If so, do you have any open?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the position we have open.
Yes, we have our advanced water purification operator position that we're looking at, not only certified operators, but OIT operators. So, you know, it's something that if you've got other skills and you want, you know, to use those skills and put that on your application, you can also apply for those positions as well.
Oh, yeah.
Sewer Authority, we do not have an operator and training program.
And water authority is not going to have the internship opportunities. And we do have like assistant level one positions that are pretty entry level.
Awesome, just following up on that, just across the board, does anyone have internship or job shadow opportunities currently at your organization?
Not currently, yeah. Yeah, this week on Thursday, I'm opening up the utility worker internship. We're gonna be hiring 2, hopefully, so if you're interested, that'll be up on the board on Thursday on our website. And then, that is a paid internship for the summer. It's like an 8 or 9 week internship. 3 days a week or 2 days a week. They're 2 9-hour days. We're doing 2 9-hour days. So we can kind of work Monday through Thursday.
How much does it take for that?
I don't, I think we paid 23, 24 last time, so I haven't finalized it yet, so.
Thank you.
We don't have any internship opportunities specifically. That's not to say there won't be one this summer. As far as job shadowing, that is a part of the training for this position. So you'd be working closely with Jim, learning from him and our other local service managers, going to their sites, asking everything and anything you can think of about the process. And it's important to learn on the job, right? That's really what it comes down to. So usually we have a 3-month onboarding period, shadowing him, other techs before you go on and be the client facing service manager.
Where are you located again?
We're in Solana Beach, but operate all over the country, primarily in areas that are water stressed, right? Where you can make more of an impact in these organizations that are looking to save water and make an impact from a sustainability perspective. So this position we're currently hiring for San Diego region. We're starting to grow more into Los Angeles. So that's something that would be interesting to you, managing a Los Angeles fleet in the coming year or so. It's be a good fit.
We are also opening up a park internship for Sandy Lakes this summer, and also I have a engineering opportunity as well for an internship coming up. So those just came across my desk today, so I don't have any details, but hopefully in the next month those will be out as well. So if you're interested in those fields.
What is, the park, you don't know where it is?
Park and Rec, there's a couple different options, whether it's working with environmental or doing communications and events. even working just general operations there at the park. So he's a little bit spread out, so I'm just trying to narrow down the features. I know he's interested, I'm just trying to figure out how we're gonna advertise it.
Anyone over here or?
Yes, so Water Authority, we have a new internship program. It's our Water Resources and Environmental intern. It's 20 hours per week. We have an intern right now, but he'll be finishing up, graduation in May, so we'll open up again. It's 20 hours per week and it pays between $20 and $25 an hour.
I think I already talked about our internships, but I just want to add, if you're looking for positions in the water industry, there's a website, SanDiegoWaterWorks.org. So it stands for Waterworks with S at the end. And I'll put out a flyer with the website. If you want to grab that, but that's a good resource for jobs that are for water, posted from various water agencies throughout the county. If you want to be looking for water jobs.
I'll ask the next one. This is my question. And just because my brother right now is looking for a job, I'm sending to her, so. That's another topic. But he's always complaining about, like, it takes like 2 hours to apply. The websites, the time consuming, like the stress and the overwhelming process of applying to a job. And you kind of talked about, Jamie, a little bit, like tailoring it to the position, right? Like using the keywords that is in the job description. But any tips, can you just talk a little bit about your application process? And this is for all of you guys, just because I really want the students to hear about this, because all of these questions are great, but just getting in front of the computer and actually applying, because before they used to come into the office, fill out a form, which I kind of feel that we should go back to that. But I understand that you get a lot of applications. Do you guys use tracking systems? Can you all share what the application process is? And then once they apply, and this is for right now, here, she's our child placement case manager. She gets the calls from students of, I applied and it's been a week and I haven't heard back. What do we do? And we don't want to bombard you guys with questions, but we just want to make it seamless for everybody. And then so everybody wins. So anyone can take it.
So I'll say, I think a lot of the public agencies use governmentjobs.com. So we use what's called NeoGov, and then they end up posting there. So the good thing is that if you really take the time to get your application in a good place, you can then just resubmit. It might mean you're going in and kind of tweaking it for the job that you are specifically applying for. But as far as your work history, kind of the responsibilities, some of those things are going to carry over no matter what job you're at. As far as notification time for us, it really does vary depending on the position and how we have posted it. So you'll see for us, sometimes we might have a job that's just open until filled. And so that means I'm just collecting applications, and as they're coming in, I'm considering them. So you'll probably get a response a little bit more quickly. But we also have jobs that we post and we'll say right on there, hey, there's a review date. Most likely we're not going to do a lot with it because we're really just in the process of collecting applications. I'm on the back end probably going through and filtering out. But most likely you're going to have kind of a little bit of time, a few weeks before we're kind of processing it. But I'll say, you know, I'm more than happy to, like, if you submit your application, and even if you just call and say, hey, just want to make sure you got it. Of course, you should have gotten an email confirmation, but it's sometimes nice to have that touch point to introduce yourself. Tell, you know, let us know why you're interested. Then we can verify, yep, I see it. And then I'm happy to kind of answer questions as far as specific timelines that might apply to whatever job you've applied, you know, that one recruitment applied to. So I do know it can be frustrating, but the one thing I would recommend too, like on our applications, we have supplemental questions at the end. Sometimes I would just copy and paste that into a Word document. Take your time, like answer those. It has spell check in Word, like you can use those kinds of things. And then that way, once you're ready, you can just copy and paste it into your application. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where if you want that job, you want to put your best foot forward. It's worth the investment. You know, it's just kind of asking yourself, how much is your time worth? And, you know, I think it's pretty valuable. So take the time, get it clean up front, and then really the more solid it is up front, when you're applying to different positions, it doesn't take as much work and it doesn't take as much time, but it is kind of a heavy load the first go
Is
around.
that application timed?
I think on ours, it might have like a 30-minute thing, but you can kind of save it as you go along. Yeah, so it's not something.
Save it.
Yeah, and I think it's just, I don't know, I like having spell check. You know, you want to be able to take a look at your work before you're putting it in there. I'll say too, if you apply to Helix, you can apply once every 24 hours. So if you realize, oh shoot, I forgot to include a certification or an attachment, whatever it is, you can resubmit, and then just know that as I'm reviewing applications, I'm only going to look at the one that you submit is most current. So any changes or anything, but again, if you have questions, give me a call, you know, ask the questions. I'm happy to help out in that sense.
Speak from our seat. So we're a really small team, team of seven, really value, you know, this hire we make is going to be 1/8 of the team, right? So he's a big contributor. And how our process is going to be an Indeed job posting, but I'm here, got my business cards, and would love for you all just to send me your resumes and everything directly, right? I want to make sure this face-to-face time is huge. It's a great opportunity to see more than behind the screen and get to know you and what you're interested in. So, you know, we're jobs open now, looking to make that one hire within the next month.
For Padre Dam, take a look at when the job post ends. So when the job post ends, that's when we typically will look at all the applications. There are multiple people that are reviewing those applications. Typically after it ends, maybe within that 2 to 3 days, you should be getting an email from us, letting you know if you've been invited to the next process, which is either an interview or a test or something like that. Again, you're more than welcome to reach out to make sure we have it. If you forgot, we're only allowing one application every 60 days. That's just from keeping people to keep, you know, applying for the same job. Now, if there's multiple jobs that you're applying for, you're applying for all 4 jobs or whatever it is. But if you are applying for the same job, then it's like a 60-day notice. If it is a continuous one, like a lot of times our utility workers are continuous, it's an open until filled, basically. We will, you know, go through them, and as soon as we have sufficient amount of people to be able to invite to a test, it's a lot of money to put our tests on, our skills tests. Once we have enough to invite for that, then we'll, you know, do that wave and then keep it open. And then if we need to keep it open, we'll keep it open and keep going. Otherwise, you know, we'll let you know, yes, you didn't make it or you didn't make it to that chip. But we pride ourselves in trying to communicate to our applicants to kind of let them know what's going on in the process. But if you do forget a cert or something like that, email it to us and we can add it to your application.
Yeah, for the water authority, if you're finding pretty much most of the public agencies in the county, not actually California, use that same applicant tracking system through governmentjobs.com. That's a good resource if you're looking for jobs, taking jobs. There's a lot of public agencies use that same platform, and then all the positions are posted on that website. So with that, if you have a profile, as you mentioned earlier, that, you know, your work history, education, everything are the same. The one thing that I would focus more time on are the application questions that are specific to that job. There's supplemental questions that a lot of agencies add. I know at the water agency, the water authority where I work, that's one of the things that we look as a tool to distinguish who's going to move forward to the next phase, because there's certain things that we're looking for that specific position. So the individual that, you know, have more of those skills or those transferable skills that I mentioned, you know, probably the ones that are going to be more prepared for that role. So we'll use that supplemental questionnaire to assess the application further and make decisions on it. But I would spend some time on those, you know, as the person receiving them and reading them. A lot of times people put in like one sentence. I don't have it in my resume, and you know, that's just an extra thing that we have to go through. And you have 15 attachments. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on you, you don't spend a lot of time, you know, responding to the question, right? So we're looking at hundreds of applications. And I have to do 20 pages of your attachment, you know, just put in a little bit of work. Now, at least respond to the question, even if it's 2 or 3 sentences, right? Doesn't have to be an essay. You know, at the other end, you don't need an essay of 15 pages either, right? You just want to know, you know, what is it that you have as part of your knowledge, and think about your knowledge, not just your experience. All of you are students. You're doing projects. You're leading teams. You know, you're doing work as a group. You might be doing some, you know, extracurricular things on your own time, volunteering. I don't know, you like hiking, you know, those are things that show that you have stamina to go out there and work and just do the stuff on your own time. So some of those extracurricular volunteer things that you do are applicable as well. You know, when we're looking at, do you have those skills? We're not just looking at, do you have a job? That's always great, but if you don't have it, you want to show that you have the knowledge, that you understand, and you're teaching. Because we're also looking at those soft skills, because half the battle is not, are you the most qualified? Sometimes the most qualified isn't the best person for the job. You might not have good work ethic, right? So we're looking at the whole picture. So even if you aren't, you know, the most experienced person, if you're showing that you have some of those other attributes that can be teachable, you know, that you have those basic skills in school, you have good writing skills, and that's necessary for the job, you can demonstrate that on the application. So those things matter, you know, spell check, as you mentioned. And as far as applicant tracking software outside of just the public agencies, you're submitting resumes, look at your format. If you just Google ETS resume format, a lot of times I'll see resumes that have a lot of graphics in it, text boxes, little lines, trying to make it beautiful. We love beautiful, but if you're submitting a resume to an agency that's only looking at your resume and they're using a software program to kind of look for keywords, then you want to be mindful of your formatting, because if you have a lot of images and text boxes in there, you may not be able to read it. So kind of look at that formatting. Another thing
I would also just add to that, kind of on the flip side of it. And we say kind of in our instructions that you understand the resume isn't a substitute for the application. So please, please, please don't go through and just say, see my resume. Because if it does that, I'm not gonna look at your resume. So just know, for Helix at least, we really are looking at that application and kind of the information that you put in there. I will say a resume is a wonderful tool to add, and it shows that extra effort, that extra attention and detail. But yeah, for us, just know we're gonna look at your application.
just look at directions, figure out what the agency you're applying for is. If they, like, our agency will say, we're using your application as a tool to review your qualifications, not your attachments, not your resume, similar to Helix. So it'll say that on the instructions. But then other agencies are only looking at your resume. So you need to put the effort in the tool that the agency is using with us. But just kind of make sure you're understanding that before you submit.
I just want to add something else about governmentjobs.com. A lot of people don't know this, but you can select fields that you're interested in, like engineering, human resources, water treatment. And whenever we post a job, you're subscribed to those notifications. So if your job pertains to something that you might be interested in, you get an email right away. You know, check our website all the time. You're one of the first to know when a job is posted by subscribing.
So the Water Authority lists 22 water agencies in the county on the main website, sdcwa.org. So any agency using government jobs has that feature. So if you're really extra eager and motivated, go on all 22 water agency websites and get on their interest list, so that you're gonna get an alert for anyone in the county with posting jobs.
Wonderful, thank you all. A lot of great information, and helpful to know that the supplemental questions are going somewhere and being read. I think it's always good. Okay, let's change gears a little bit and just talk a little bit more about skills tests, if your organization's using them, and how someone can prepare for a skills test, whether they're working in the industry or they're not working.
Is it a computer or do they actually have to know?
Ours vary. Ours
They're
vary
on
too.
it. Oh, really?
It depends on the position that you're applying to. So if you're a utility applicant and we're asking you to do a skills test, show up in jeans and a t-shirt, because you're probably gonna get dirty, because you're doing some shoveling, you're doing, you know, really hands-on work. If you are applying to an administrative position, work on your typing, because most likely there's a words per minute requirement, minimum qualification. So again, just paying attention to that. We're gonna skills test it because we need to verify that each candidate meets those minimum qualifications. So yeah, sometimes they're on the computer, sometimes they're handwritten, sometimes it really depends on the position. What I will say though is if, at least for Helix, if we're inviting you to a skills test, we're gonna give you a good overview of what it consists of. Like, hey, there's gonna be some math, you can bring in a calculator, there's gonna be multiple choice, kind of some short answer questions. We're always gonna give you that overview. And again, if we're scheduling you, ask the question. If I can't answer the question because it's giving you too much detail, I'm gonna tell you, you know, unfortunately, I can't answer that, but I try to give you as much information as I can. So to ask if you can study for it, it's kind of hard. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, we're very similar to
Yeah.
Helix when it comes to our written and skills testing. If we have a written piece of testing, it's gonna be handwritten. We do have for our administrative position, some of the clerical positions, we do require like a Word or Excel test. So that would be after you go home, you would get an email and it's a system that's timed and, so, you know, just know that it's sensitive to like one-click answers versus I'm gonna click until I find it. You know, those are the types of responses for the Excel and the Word. But our utility worker, the advanced water purification operator positions, those will have written tests. And they are written to know what you know, and then there'll be a skills test on top of that. Again, look at the job description. What would somebody in that field need to wear to show up and be ready to do? They're working with hand tools, maybe you want to just refresh yourself on YouTube on how to use some hand tools, or, you know, what tools to use to do what. So that could be cool.
So the water authority, the skills set that we do very similar. But we'll tell you in advance we were assessing. So for our system operator position, you were assessing Excel skills and basically water math. So it would be you know, dusting out your books and your water math class that you took. We use that as a tool to develop that. That's just multiple choice. Or some of it is, you know, you use the internet on ours. So we'll say calculate X, and if you want to Google the calculation, go for it, right? So that's like one test. We do have other tests that assess, for example, the maintenance worker, just general knowledge of you know, some of the basic safety things. So we look at the knowledge, skills, and abilities, you know, required to the job. We do basic safety knowledge, some customer service, you know, some just general maintenance kind of skills, you know, multiple choice, asking those basic skills. So our tests are super advanced or difficult, that we went into the job and some of those basic skills needed to just be able to learn that job. And then the skills test related to more the operational, the mechanical roles. And in those roles, we do expect someone to have some of the mechanical skills. So someone, that would be someone who already has at least 1 or 2 years of work experience. And we would do a hands-on, can you identify these things? Right? Could we expect that you would have some exposure in that environment? Or do you have the stamina to, you know, figure out, you know, we're gonna dig to figure out where the pipeline is. You know, can you dig and do it safely, right? So things like that. So there's not really but we'll tell you what's on the test in advance. Some of the more administrative positions would be, you know, more like analytical skills or computer skills. It'd be similar to what you used to do in school. You know, an Excel test or word test or typing test. For the more administrative. So writing ability is important for those administrative roles as well. That's something we look at a lot for positions that are, you know, gonna be sending emails or writing documentation. Because for a lot of that, it's something that's not easy to teach, right? Either you have the ability to write well and spell check and, you know, you have that knowledge or you don't. Right? So some of that could be just assessing if you have some discipline in school. So that's something you can work on later. And English class is important.
Just to, oh, I'm so sorry. Just to add real quick, for Helix, at least for skills tests, one thing that you do not have to study for, but is really, really easy to do is being polite to the people that you're running into, because I guarantee I am asking the people at the front counter, hey, how are the candidates when they checked in? Were they polite? Were they, you know, when they're waiting in the waiting room? Just know every single touch point for us is very important. And it's not just how you treat somebody in human resources, it's how do you treat the person that you know, are interacting with at the front counter. So just that's your fair kind of heads up. You are always being evaluated because it's not just the technical skills. Talk about things that you can't teach. Character is a big thing, right? And how the integrity and how somebody treats other people, it's going to be a big reflection of how they treat customers, how they work with other people on their team. So just, you don't have to study for it, but just keep that in mind as you're checking in. Just a good person, right? It's always a good thing.
I add to that real quick. Agree with everything she said, right? You know, personality is a huge part of it, especially in all these positions. You know, you're the one representing our Capture H2O to our clients. As far as testing goes, though, no formal written tests. Part of our application is reviewing your technical writing sample, right? Your work product is these monthly service reports. I know I said we're based in Solana Beach, but how often are you in Solana Beach? Yeah, once a week. You're out in the field going to our Irvine company buildings in downtown San Diego, going up to Intuit Dome, the LA Clippers arena in LA. So, you know, you're out in the field making your own schedule. But yeah, you know, technical writing ability, we're going to test your ability to run wet tests, speak to water chemistry, but no written tests.
But in your case, time management is important.
I know.
Also, like,
Yeah.
responsive, because you don't want someone to be micromanaging you, but you also want to show that you're being productive and you're not just.
100%. Yeah, this is a very, we need to have confidence and trust that you can work independent. There's not going to be someone over your shoulder. You're out in the field making your own schedule. So yeah, very.
Do you use your own vehicle, or do you guys provide a vehicle or mileage?
Use your own, but we provide a allowance for your gas, cell phone, all the things you're using for your job.
So what? Do you want to see?
I'm kind of waiting for a moment to introduce myself. I know I came late. It's okay. Not a problem. My name is Asha Howard. I'm the Senior Human Resources Analyst at Sweetwater Authority. And just kind of wanted to mirror what the panelists have been saying. Sweetwater, we test for specific jobs. So everything that everyone said, if it's admin, we're going to test Word, Excel, proofreading, how well you write a written communication like an email. If it's, you know, water treatment plant operator, we're going to test your math skills, and we provide all the tools you need for the test. So you don't need to come with anything but a good disposition and a smile and, you know, a can-do attitude. So I don't think.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great tips. I feel so blessed. Guys, right there. We have 2 more questions, and then we're going to open it up to the students. But then we also want to do the breakout activity. And I also want to get a picture from all of us. So I might ask the panelists to go on that side. I think it'll be easier. But before that, I'll ask a question, and then Taylor has another one. How many interviews do applicants have to go with the agency? Is it 1 interview, or depends on the job?
So for us, it depends. For full-time positions, we'll have a minimum of 2 full interviews, so a skills test and then an interview. If it's a part-time position, you might have a skills test, but typically the part-time positions are just 1 interview. So.
And that's with HR and the person from the department that they're going to be working with?
So our panels always stay the same. We always have someone from Human Resources, the direct supervisor, and then it kind of varies. We might have somebody else from that same department, or we might have a manager from a different area in the district. So sometimes we try to get, like if it's a different department, we try to get somebody that interacts with that position on a more frequent basis. So at Padre Dam, we do typically one interview. It is a panel interview. So again, kind of a similar thing, somebody from HR, the hiring supervisor or manager, sometimes both. And then we have different people throughout the district because we're kind of a collaborative environment. And so we value everybody's opinion. We might pick up on something that we didn't pick up on. So collaboration is huge for us. If you were going into upper management or a director position, then that most likely would be employed. For most part, our first time.
For capture H2O, typically we do video screen, 10, 15 minutes with myself, get to know you a little better. That might happen in this classroom here. But then after that, a similar thing with our director of service, the one you'd be reporting to in this position. But the real main one is about an hour or two in-person interview where you meet the whole team. Very important to get everyone's feedback from our operations manager to our CEO to everyone in between. So that's usually 2-hour thing. Check out a site of ours, take a look at our equipment, ask you some questions about water treatment, and then again the soft skills to go to lunch as well.
Sewer Authority, typically it's one interview. Sometimes we do have a handful that'll advance to a second interview. But yeah, we do panel interviews with a member of HR, the hiring manager, supervisor, and then a couple other about 4 people on our panels. Our interviews are competency-based interview questions. And
one thing, sometimes depending on the position, the department head might be in the room on the panel, or the general manager, and we typically always have the assistant general.
The Water Authority do a little different. The first interview is what we call an external panel, or panels of subject matter experts. So they're normally not the hiring manager individuals that are specifically that department. And the reason for that is to get like an outside perspective before the finalists make it to the second interview. So the first interview is more very structured interview questions based on background experience and some of the soft skills that may be required for that role. Teamwork is really important, so I just want to share that. A lot of our agencies are very lean, meaning that we might work on small teams. We might not have, we don't have 14,000 employees at the county, right? We have 200 and we serve a pretty big area. So because of that, teamwork is really important in a lot of our agencies. So that's really something that's important to highlight or to focus on. As far as soft skills goes, just need that to the interview, and also, strategy, because again, we're having to do a lot of important work. Want to make sure the water turns on and nobody notices if there's anything wrong. Because our job is to keep the water running, right? So we're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're lean teams. So being able to work collaboratively with others, be a positive person, get the work done, and be someone who's proactive or can the word I'm looking for. Think outside the box, find better ways of doing things, solve problems. So they're all soft skills that are important for pretty much any agency, I think, in the water industry. So those are all things that you can focus on. And not just because a lot of times that matters more than having the most experience. Is it someone who can work well with our team and has that ability to learn and grow with our agency? Yeah.
I love it. Critical thinking. That's overall, that's the intangible, I think, through line of all this. And then our last question before we open it up to you all to be able to ask whatever is still on your mind is, just wanna hear from everybody that's up here, what the favorite, what your favorite part of your job is, and particularly, what are some of the great things about working for your organization in particular? The perks. Sell it, really sell it.
I'll start. So, before coming to Capture H2O, I'm from Virginia, was working at an engineering consulting firm, sitting behind a desk, writing calculations, writing reports, not in the field, and have always been very passionate about sustainability. Wasn't getting the itch scratched, and had this very fortunate opportunity to move out to sunny San Diego and really roll up my sleeves and, get in the field and make more of a tangible impact. So, it's very rewarding when, we have these automated saving summaries that we'll send out to our customers saying you saved 5 million gallons of water this year. And just knowing I had a hand in making that impact is just a very rewarding and awesome experience. So, hands down, making an impact for the environment is that's my favorite part about Capture H2O. And the team is amazing as well.
That was all I had left was the team. That's how I love it all. I love the schedule too, which is your own. Do a little work from home, do a little work in the field, come back home, do a little bit more, and yeah, it's your own schedule. But yes, I echo everything that Anthony just said. It's definitely end of the year when you see how many millions of gallons have been saved. Really, it's like we're part of that. We're just a little group of people, but for the programs that we manage, get it done. Yeah.
For me, being at Padre Dam, because I came from the mortgage industry and it was quite different, but Padre Dam was really the collaboration and the culture. Everybody's super nice and friendly. It almost feels like family. Not every family is perfect, of course. You got your brokenness, but it truly is like you can walk down the hall and the GM says hi to me. We'll sit and have a conversation with me about how my day's going, what I did over the weekend, and we share those stories. I mean, never in my wildest dreams would I sit and talk to the GM from the mortgage industry. It's like, you don't even look at them when you walk down the hall. So I love that personal aspect. I love the fact that not only do we have park and recreation, that we serve, Santee Lake, beautiful, beautiful park and campground. If you haven't been there, you should go. But we're also part of this exciting, innovative time where, we're providing this advanced water purification. I mean, this is state of the art. Pure water is going around. I mean, it's so needed here in Southern California. To be a part of that is amazing. And when I was in customer service too, helping educate our customers on really when you turn on your tap, there's a team of people that help get that clean water to you. So a lot of people just don't think that when they're flushing the toilet and when they're getting water to their homes, that it took a team of people to get there and to keep the infrastructure, up to date and to be there when an emergency happens. So we're essential.
As far as my job specifically, I think the thing I love the most is really working with the people that I get to work with. It's fun to be able to do recruitments for different departments. And I get excited to see, like, who is this person that we're going to bring onto our team? And then what are they going to do? Like, where's their career going to lead? It's exciting to see the different opportunities. Like, I see Henry, like, we used to do recruitments together and he would I loved it because when I would go out to the treatment plant, every time I go out there, he's teaching me something about, hey, this is the new project. Like, this is what we're doing. And that excitement is just something that you get throughout the agency. So when you start to talk to these people in different departments, whether it's public affairs or customer service, whether it's out at the lake and recreation, I mean, it's exciting to see what people are doing. And I love just I have some really talented people and they care a lot about what they do. They're pretty passionate and I would agree. I mean, I think to say any organization is perfect is crazy. No, there's not a place that can do that. But I think what sets Helix apart really is kind of the culture and just it really strives to do better. Like it strives to improve not only efficiencies for our customers, but also to develop our employees. And you just see that with the people that you get to talk to and work with. And, I feel like one of the questions I get from candidates during, when they have questions is, why do you like working here? And it really is the people. I mean, the people make such a big difference. I've never had it where I had a question and I needed help and I went to somebody and they were like, yeah, sorry, figure it out. Like, I mean, that just doesn't happen. And it just is a collaborative spirit and people care about what they do. So again, I mean, of course, like benefits, retirement, all of those things are amazing, but it is just, it's nice to look forward to going to work. And I feel like that when you can find a place that you can do that, you're gonna be pretty set. So.
As you heard from all the panelists, teamwork's important, right? The community in the water industry is really small. I'll just say that. I know I work for a couple water agencies, I work for a city. And as I've moved to different agencies, growing within my position, because the reality is once you gain a certain skill, if you want to develop on that, sometimes you may have to go to another agency, or if there's an opportunity, of course, if you can't stay there, then that's great. But again, we're all kind of rotating from agency to agency because we're trying to develop our skill, we're trying to get that next job. So you're gonna meet a lot of people, even just, work. A lot of times I'll work with several of the water agencies, they might work with us. We partner a lot, there's a lot of collaboration across agencies. And everybody that you run across in the water industry, this is their career, this is what they want to do. And they're very passionate about what they do and they love what they do. And I think there's a lot of value to that because they care about their job, they're doing it well, and then they're also sharing that knowledge with you, right? So I think across the board, all the water agencies, that's just the environment, which is great. On the other end, we come to work because we win the lottery and we have to pay. So, the salaries are very competitive across all the water agencies. Benefits are pretty, we have unions, so they keep our benefits very reasonable. Actually, some of the agencies, offer 100% paid health insurance for family members. Or even if they have a cost sharing, it's very minimal compared to private sector jobs. So that's a huge perk, having great benefits for your family. Alternative work schedules. So some agencies, like at the Water Authority, we work 4/10s in the operational roles. Because unfortunately, there's no teleworking and you have to go out there and fix something in the field, right? So if that's your job or you have to be on site, there are opportunities to have schedules that allow you to still have time off if you can. So in our operational jobs, they work 4 days a week, 10-hour days, but then they get 3 days off, which is really nice. Some of our administrative jobs, we work 9/8 schedules, so 9-hour days, and every other Friday off, which is really nice. And then now after the pandemic, they've added some teleworking options depending on the position for more of the administrative jobs. So there's just a lot of opportunity for that work-life balance as well, which is a huge perk, I think, for a lot of people. So beyond just work life, you also have to have those benefits to take care of your family and spend that time with them. Vacation time is very reasonable. So beyond just having great partnerships at work, a lot of opportunity to learn. So if you're someone who likes to learn, most agencies offer tuition reimbursements, training opportunities, and a lot of times it's just a matter of how much you want to commit, what you want to do next. So taking ownership of your career. But those opportunities are.
Do we want to open it up to anyone for ask questions?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to say it. Yeah.
So what exactly qualifies as work experience for that would qualify to get a job? Say I wanted to get a treatment job. Would distribution work qualify for that? Or vice versa?
So for us, it depends on which position. So we do have an operator trainee position, and so distribution would actually qualify you for kind of the work experience required there. But an operator position, it has higher requirements for certifications, but then you do also have to have some time kind of in the seat working at a treatment plant. And so it just, for us, it kind of varies depending on the position.
Question. That, if you took a certain amount of units, you just got the center of the water study, you would count as recent experience. Does that apply for certain issues or not?
That could be for the certification required.
Yeah, in order to sit for the distribution.
Yeah, that could be in order to sit for the test for like water distribution certification. As far as work experience, then it depends on the job. Like I know our entry level system operator position, you don't need any work experience, you just need a high school diploma, but you do have to have a water distribution operator certificate. So, that schooling you mentioned may help you get that level 1 certification so that then you can qualify for the job. That makes sense. What else?
Yeah, besides C2D2, what have you seen on resumes that you actually like or that we could be working on right now while we're in school, certification wise, like a forklift or something, or like what have you seen? That could be different?
Depends on what you're applying for. More of the construction related jobs, definitely like FARB, are helpful. Some positions don't require it. You can get it on the job, but if you have, you have prior work experience in the field and you've been fortunate to gain that license, that's always nice. In a lot of these positions, they've got to be very people. So that's helpful. Any mechanical experience, if you know, an electrician or plumber, some type of trade in the past, that's always helpful because a lot of these positions use those skills. Welding, that kind of stuff.
Or no specific other one?
So I was gonna say, a lot of the different positions that we have are safety is huge. So any kind of OSHA trainings and different stuff like that, I think is always a plus to kind of have on there. Because then it shows like confined space, like different things. At least you have that awareness and kind of and it really does, it applies to a lot of different positions. So.
That helps, thanks.
How does your company integrate the use of AI into its positions, if any? Or I guess that's probably fine by itself. How does AI integration involve with the current?
I would say Helix has been slow and I think kind of a little apprehensive as far as kind of really integrating it a lot, just and more on the guidance, I would say, of our IS department, just in that a lot of, we just kind of dump our job description into AI and say, hey, put something together, because then that's kind of that intellectual property that is, there's a lot more to it. Now, if I'm putting together an email that's like, hey, I want to put together a fun announcement, kind of create a fun paragraph on something, that might be something more that we would do, but I would say for us, at least, we have not integrated it a lot.
We have not either. We have a team that's kind of gathering information at this point. To see how we can use it and what kind of guidelines we want to put on that, because we feel like, when we're reviewing applications, we truly can see the typical use of AI. Like you can start to see a repeat, and it's like, we want to see more authenticity. We want to see who you truly are and what it is. I mean, so if you are using it, make sure you make it your own. Make it specific to who you are. If you're needing help just putting words flowing together, that's one thing. But if you're using it to write your whole thing, trust me, we're gonna see it on the other end. So we do read all the applications. We read them all. We don't use AI to like look for keywords or anything.
Use it as a tool, but always tailor to everything.
Sorry, so no one uses AI to screen the resumes?
No.
That's actually, it's good.
And there are usually at least 4 of us that are reviewing applications. So, and they're all rated. So then the rating is at least for 4.
Being that we're public agencies, we're very careful with any information that could be confidential, or just being out there. So our IT department is very cautious with that, so that's why right now, I think across the board, in the industry, everyone's kind of slow, because there is that hesitation of putting too much out there that shouldn't be public information.
Question and your question.
And then
And then, yeah, and the.
Okay, my question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, I've heard the question, what's most fun? What's most difficult? Each utility is different, company's different. What's most difficult at your utility, like most difficult? Might have been something you heard about that was like, oh, that must have like been really tough. Or, something you personally experienced that's difficult.
I can start down here. So big thing we used to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the industry is our attention to service and 24/7 room. So it doesn't happen often, but sometimes 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on a Friday is when things happen to always break, right? So so being, I wish Jim was here for that question, but we have remote alarms that may go off. I know few months ago at a mall around here, we had a situation where a booster pump had basically it failed from an electrical connection, and had to get down there, on a late Friday night to go take care of it. So it doesn't happen often. There's people, our clients are those on site doing the, oftentimes fixing emergencies, but I'd say the most challenging thing could be when the clock hits 5, you still need to be, engaged. And I'm not trying to scare anyone away by saying you're working around the clock, because you aren't, but just something could happen, and being available for your clients is obviously the most important thing. So that'll be the most challenging thing to say.
Yeah, for Sweetwater, I would say very similar. We have a water treatment plant that's 24 hours. There's always someone there on site. We do have, standby duty or call-ins where something happens at like 2 a.m. and we have to send a crew out there. So I would say that's probably most challenging, because people are called with their families, and, as much as we love people spending time with their family, we also need to service our service area.
And it always comes like at the birthday party, you're worried about the Padre game or whatever, so. Murphy's Law.
I'll speak from personal experience. I know this industry is extremely competitive. If I was invited to participate in a skills test, but I didn't make it past like the first round or maybe an interview, and I also wasn't given any sort of feedback, because I understand you can't really, what advice or any sort of anything that you guys can give to not make realistically forward, besides just apply for next time or keep your head up?
I feel like this does happen quite a bit, and you have to think about it. It may not just be you're timing it. I know some utility workers who tried 8 times before they got a job with that. So it's all about who you're competing against, and there might be somebody who was more qualified or had more experience, or whatever it was. They had the more it factor compared to what you were doing. If you're doing something completely wrong in a skills test or something like that, maybe pay attention to the cues during the skills test of the workers, like after you completed it, you're like, how could I have done that better? Or, talk to them, and ask them and see if what kind of information they can give back to you. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, it's, sometimes it's behavior, sometimes, like she said earlier, or somebody said, you're always on. From the moment you walk in the door, you have a conversation with the coworker who's out at the skills site. Well, if you made a comment, know that coworker is going to hear it and bring it back to the deciding factor of if you're people on or not. So just kind of be very self-aware. Self-awareness is a huge thing. Self-awareness.
And also keep in mind that if you made it far enough to be invited to a skills test, that you probably are a valid applicant. So kind of keeping that as like a little encouraging piece.
And don't give up.
Yeah. And I would say too, you're absolutely right. Sometimes it is timing of who you are competing with. So for Helix, for a while, we just had it where the private industry was just going and going and going. And so the skill level or the experience level that we were seeing in our applicants just wasn't what it used to be. And so it is kind of like, all right, so at that point, you might have a better chance versus now we are starting to see kind of a higher number of applicants where that means we get to be a little bit pickier because now we're like, all right, these people have underground experience. They've worked on pipelines before. They have water experience or knowledge. So some of it is timing, but I would definitely agree. If you made it to a skills test, that means you are a valid applicant. If it's a utility position that you're going for, sometimes it means you might have to go get a construction job just to get that experience. And, you know, it might not be your final, you know, that's not your end goal, but it's just a means to get to where you want. And, you know, because I will tell you that underground experience, especially on those types of applications, is huge. Like, all right, this person is familiar with trenches and shoring and all of these, working on a crew, and those things matter. So it might not be that you're getting this job now, but, and I've seen it where applicants have gone, they go to the private industry, they get that experience, and then they come back and they're killing it, like they're ready. So it just, sometimes it is timing and, you know, but yeah, if you made it that far, you're on the right path.
Right? Each time we go on an interview, reach out to him and you're protecting on that side. Sometimes they don't want to give you feedback, but sometimes you can ask questions such as, what are the categories where I had the most missed questions, for example, business skills test. So at least they can't give you the answers to the test, but they can say, well, this is an area where you scored lower. And maybe that can help you get some information as to where you need to build on it. So sometimes no matter how you ask to, maybe they can give you some information. So I guess we can do one last one before the.
So in regards to retirement, like how you guys, how differentiate for an agency? I know some like pension, 401ks, there's some companies out there that like you work for 50 years, you have medical for life. But just like the perks and benefits of each agency, I mean, obviously draws a lot of competition for applicants, but just curious about the retirement.
So most agencies, a lot of agencies use CalPERS, or the California Public Employee Retirement System. As far as public agencies go, and water agencies, the majority are with CalPERS. So it's not a 401k, it's a defined benefit plan. So what that means is you're guaranteed the percentage of your income when you retire based on your years of service and your form. So for anyone coming new into the industry, that formula is 2% at the agencies, the CG, for the majority of agencies. As far as right now, that's just what I've seen across the board is the formula for most agencies. What that means is they'll grab like 2% when you reach age 62, that's the amount that they'll use at that age. And then they'll multiply it by your years of service. So if you have 20 years of service, that's 2 times 20, that's 40% of your income when you retire. So that's kind of what that would look like, just to give you a beat. And then that along with Social Security, and then there's also opportunity to contribute to similar to a 401k, you know, money on the side towards your retirement to kind of supplement for that. So I think the majority are with CalPERS. If you work for like the county or the city, they have their own pension system that is similar to the California pension system.
401ks.
And I'd say just to kind of add, so for Helix, we have helpers. We do have deferred compensation, which is kind of that additional savings you can do. We offer a matching, so right now it's up to $3,500. The district will match, so if you're putting that money in on an annual basis, you have that as well. And then, yeah, as far as it's interesting you ask, you know, as far as like benefits once you retire, even within Helix, depending on when you got hired, there's tiers to it. So the benefit that I'm receiving is a lot different than the people that have been there for 20 years. So it really just, it's hard to say, hey, this is the benefit. It's really determined kind of on whatever that, when you get hired and when you retire, and then your years of service. So for right now, I have medical coverage once I retire until I reach Medicare age, and then I will transfer directly over to Medicare. So it just, and that can change. There's MOUs so it's kind of hard to give you hey, this is a guarantee of what you're gonna get because it could change